Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Today we're going to talk about a depressing subject for me, the fact that some people just never learn. Either that or they don't listen to their lawyers or they think what they're talking about is somehow going to go undiscovered. And what I'm talking about here is jailhouse phone calls. Recently, in a number of different trials, the jailhouse phone calls have come into play. It happened in the Adelson trial, and it's happened in the Krzyzewski trial in Wisconsin. What is so irritating about that as a lawyer is that, one, you tell your client everything you say and do in jail, you should consider it to be talking directly to the prosecution, because there are in every jail at least 15 different snitches who are going to run to the prosecution with any tidbit of information they think might help the prosecution in your case. And so, because they get time off from their sentence by virtue of ratting you out, well, they're going to do that. The fact is that any snitch would jump at the chance to get some time off their sentence or maybe an early release by turning in somebody who committed a much more serious crime. And that's just basic human nature. And as they frequently say, there's no honor among thieves. So it's really frustrating to me as a lawyer, knowing that the counsel for these people tell them, anytime you are speaking in jail, whether you're speaking on the phone or you're speaking to your cellmate, you are talking directly to the prosecution. So today we have the Jesse Krzyzewski murder trial, the lady who killed people with Visine. Instead of getting the red out, she got the dead in. Anyway, Jesse is on a phone conversation with her soon-to-be former boyfriend. One of the things that they asked him is, why do you keep taking calls from this woman? I have to wonder that myself. In fact, have you noticed the tremendous similarity in terms of looks and behavior between Jesse Krzyzewski and Taylor Schabusiness? It is uncanny how very much they look alike. And so, I don't know, maybe it's something in the water up there in Wisconsin. I just don't know. But I swear, this Krzyzewski woman looks like every crazy woman that I ever dated as a young man. She's one of those flypaper women. Once you get stuck on them, you can't unstick yourself particularly easy. And I know the men out there know what I'm talking about, and I don't mean to offend any women, but there are women out there who just don't understand the word no. Simply that. So, with that sort of introduction, I'm going to play a couple of clips here from the trial and then from the actual jail audio and point out a couple of things that I think you will find interesting in this particular case. So with that, let's take a listen to these clips.
Mr. Craig, do you know a woman named Jesse Krzyzewski?
I do.
And is the woman you know as Jesse Krzyzewski in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you please identify her by where she's seated and perhaps what color her shirt is?
She's right over there in the peach-colored sweater.
Thank you. I'd ask by pointing and describing her shirt, Mr. Craig has identified the defendant, Ms. Krzyzewski.
The record will reflect.
Thank you. Mr. Craig, how is it you know Ms. Krzyzewski?
We were boyfriend and girlfriend for 3 years, 3.5 years.
What was that time span? From when until when were those 3 to 3.5 years?
From spring of 2016 till the summer of 2019.
I just have to say, this is all foundational. They have to show that he knows her and how he knows her and why he might have had access to some of the information he's going to present here. He's going to lay the foundation for the phone calls that they're trying to get into evidence. So they first have to lay the foundation for the relationship between him and the defendant. I think it was hard for him to admit that he was boyfriend and girlfriend with this gal for 3 years, and as we'll find out here in a little bit, he knew absolutely nothing about what she was doing.
Did you know of a Lynn Hernan?
Yes.
Did you ever meet Lynn Hernan?
No, I did not.
How is it you knew about Lynn Hernan?
When I first met Jessie, throughout those first few months, she told me of a friend of hers that was like a mother figure, and her name was Lynn.
Did you know anything more about Lynn sort of early on in your relationship other than it was a family friend of Ms. Krzyzewski's?
At the time, no, I didn't really know anything else. I knew she lived in Pewaukee. Jessie talked to her, a few times a week on the phone, went and visited her. So I just knew of her as a good, close friend of Jessie's.
When you met Jennifer Flower, Ms. Krzyzewski's mom, was that at your request or did Ms. Krzyzewski want you to meet her mom?
I think she wanted me to meet her.
When it came to Lynn Hernan, you said Ms. Krzyzewski was going out to Pewaukee to visit her.
Correct.
Where were the two of you living? What municipality?
West Dallas.
So she was leaving your house in West Dallas to go to Pewaukee.
Correct.
How many times per month, if you had to say?
At least 4 times, at least once a week, for sure. 4 times a month. Sometimes more, sometimes less.
Now the prosecution has laid the foundation for the fact that he knew that there was this person named Lynn, who is the murder victim in this case, alleged murder victim, I guess I should say, because it hasn't been proved at this point. But she was the person who allegedly wound up being murdered by the young lady who's on trial, Krzyzewski. He never actually met her or saw her. He just knew that every month or so she would go and visit this woman. And so we now have a foundation for some of the comments he's going to make in his testimony. And as we go through this, it's important to pay attention to some of the things that Judge Doro says, because Judge Doro is a very fair-minded judge. And I'm going to point out where I think she does something that I've never seen another judge do, but that I think is laudable. So let's go on and hear a little bit more from the witness here.
You've referenced that your relationship with Ms. Krzyzewski went until the summer of 2019, correct?
Correct.
What was it that happened in the summer of 2019 that caused that end to the relationship?
When Waukesha Sheriff's Department came to my house and took her away.
Were you ever led to believe in this conversation that you were a suspect in anything?
No, I was not.
Mr. Craig, how is it you're able to say this is a conversation you had between yourself and Ms. Krzyzewski?
I guess I don't understand the question.
And you can stop publishing to the witness, please. I want him to answer the questions from his memory.
As you looked through those messages briefly, do you recall having that conversation with Ms. Krzyzewski?
Yes.
Okay. And
Bits and pieces of it, yes.
understood. And in the midst of that conversation, you said it appeared to you or you recall trying to end the relationship with Ms. Krzyzewski.
Correct.
The defense here has been making some evidentiary objections to things like leading and hearsay and that sort of thing. And that's just basically to throw the lawyer off his game and sort of put him down. The long and short of it is that although some of those questions were indeed leading, they are for the purpose of laying a foundation, and usually a court will allow you to do that. Judge Doro is not allowing him to do that. She's holding him to perhaps a higher standard than would ordinarily be the case, but that's her job. Her job is to play fair and call balls and strikes on both sides, and that's what she's doing. But here what we've done, or what we've witnessed, is him laying the foundation for the termination of the relationship, and we're going to find out about a jailhouse phone call in just a second.
Did Ms. Krzyzewski ever tell you any news or updates on Ms. Hernan's condition?
Yes.
And what was that?
That nothing has changed with her condition. She was still in the hospital and in a coma. And that was it.
Where did you believe Lynn Hernan passed away?
In Frederick Medical Center.
And why did you believe that?
Because she was in a coma at Frederick.
Who gave you that information?
Jessie.
Did Ms. Krzyzewski ever tell you that was not true?
After the fact, after her arrest, on phone calls from the prison, yes.
How is that how you first found out that entire story about the coma and freighter was untrue?
No, that's not how I found out.
How did you find out?
I found out 2 days after Jesse's arrest from Detective Hoppy.
So the point the prosecution's trying to make here is that she lied to him all along, that she lied to him about how sick this woman was, as well as where she was, and when and how she passed away. And that he didn't learn anything different until he talked to the detectives, and that was after her arrest. That, I think, is some pretty damaging information. I think it really hurts the defense in this case.
Mr. Craig, if we play that first portion of the video, that first 1 minute and 38 seconds, was there a way you knew you were getting a call from a jail?
I think it came up as a, well, depending on where she was, but it came up as an unknown caller, or it would come up as Waukesha County Jail.
Was it Ms. Krzyzewski's voice right away, or was there some sort of automated, almost robotic voice that you had to listen to first?
It was a automated message like saying that there was a call coming from, and then it would be Jesse's voice saying Jesse.
Prior to doing that, I want to advise the jury that to the extent that you're hearing about testimony, Ms. Krzyzewski may have been in custody or incarcerated or in jail. Please be advised that that does not have any bearing on her guilt or innocence and should not in any way be used against her, meaning used against Ms. Krzyzewski when you ultimately deliberate.
Now, that is something I have never seen a judge do when they've had these telephone calls come into evidence. I've never heard a judge issue a cautionary instruction like that. I think that was very laudable.
Hello, you have a call at no expense to you from
Jesse.
an inmate at
Waukesha County Jail.
To accept this call, press or say 5. This call will be recorded and subject to monitoring at any time.
You really have nothing to say to me, do you?
No.
Craig, in that brief audio clip, did you recognize the two voices we've heard so far?
Yes.
And who are the two voices?
Jesse and myself.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, by Jesse, who do you mean?
Jesse Krzyzewski.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, I'd move Exhibit 54 to evidence.
Exhibit 54 is received.
Thank you. And then I'd ask to continue playing that second audio file to its conclusion.
Granted.
Thank you.
Don't. What the hell do you expect?
I don't understand why you're being this mean. It doesn't even make sense.
God, I'm not being mean at all. I'm being what any normal human being would be in this situation. I don't know you, Jesse.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I don't. Nobody makes up lies like that to their person they love. You don't love anybody.
I don't love anybody.
No, you don't.
So if the purpose of this was to get in the fact that she is a liar, I think they absolutely nailed that. And if the purpose is to show that she was able to bamboozle this guy for 3 years, they certainly nailed that. I'm not really sure what her crying on the phone and saying, you know, you're being mean actually does for the state's case. I would have objected to that as more prejudicial than probative. It's not like she comes right out and says, yeah, I killed her. So I'm not sure, again, other than to just make her in for the sort of the bad person inference that you can draw from this phone call, and the fact that she treated her boyfriend absolutely, you know, terribly, I think. It's an interesting use of the phone call, and it illustrates what I tell people all the time. Anytime you are talking on a phone in a jail, whether you're talking to someone in a jail or whether someone in a jail is talking to someone else who is outside of a jail, all of those phone calls are going to be recorded. They are going to be listened to, every minute of them, by a police officer or attorney, and at some point in time, they're going to show up again in the case. So it's really just a free shot that avoids the problem with self-incrimination. If you can have somebody lay a foundation for the phone call, then they're going to testify against themselves whether they want to or not. Now, I suppose you could have a phone call with someone you loved and talk about the weather and the time of day, and that would be just fine, and that wouldn't be particularly useful to the prosecution. But generally speaking, if I have somebody who is a client who's in jail, I'm telling them not to talk to anybody. So that's what I have for you today. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below or put them up there in the email and let me know what you'd like to hear, any questions you may have, if you want some different content, anything like that, just let me know. I'll be happy to consider doing that. Thank you for watching. If you have the opportunity today, go out of your way, do something nice for someone, and have a marvelous day. Catch me down here at the beach tomorrow. If you like this video, here are a few others you might try, and don't forget to subscribe. Have a terrific day, guys.